I must have had 12 or 15 walks in the game. It was just, that was my baseball experience. But basketball was what drove me. Basketball was my passion. It consumed me. I played it day and night, and I was given numerous opportunities to play against players that were always bigger, older, more experienced than me. From an early age of 8, 9, 10 years old, I played with the 10, 11, and 12-year-olds. And it was Coach Sienkiewicz who, as an 8th grader, got permission, I believe, from the school committee to get me to play with the freshman team at the high school. And if you go back to those old days, way back, Billy, as a freshman, we couldn't play varsity basketball. So I didn't get a chance to play varsity until I was a sophomore. We played, I remember one time we were playing, I was a freshman, going into my freshman year, and I was playing with the varsity up in the North Providence Summer League. And that was, back in the day, that was by far the best league you could be in. All the best high schools were there, Providence College, Rick, all the schools had teams in the league. And it was, after one of the games, I'm walking off the court, and a cousin of my father, who lived up on Smith Hill, came up to me and said, "Hey, do you want to go to LaSalle?" Now, I'm the youngest guy on the team, I'm trying to make friends, and it was one of those, yeah, sure, maybe. Well, it would be 2 years, but those few words, misspoken words, would come back to bite me. We were playing LaSalle at LaSalle during my sophomore year. And a good friend of mine was playing Joe Hassett. And if you remember Joe, if you've been to the old LaSalle gym, it's about as big as this room, or half the size of this room. Joe would step over half court and shoot and score. So Coach Sienkiewicz decided to go boxing one on Joe. That meant wherever Joe went, Bob Champlin was going. If he went to the bathroom, Champ followed him to the bathroom. But he started, and no one knows why, I never asked him this, he'd get it up in the defensive position, and he'd start yelling, "Hey Joe, what time is it? What time is it, Joe? Joe, what time is it?" Well, Joe was obviously annoyed. But I gotta tell you, so were we. It drove us crazy. We lost the game, but it was close, as I recall. Then we played LaSalle at LaSalle, back at home, at Coventry. Nobby Walsh, the coach of LaSalle, just ran it up. I mean, he beat us by 30, and he would have beat us by 50 if he could. Hassett never left the game. They pressed us full court the whole entire game. And it was just like a beating. My dad bumped into Coach Walsh after the game and said, "Coach, what's the point? What's going on?" He said 2 things. Number 1, you stole my basketball. Apparently we stole a basketball, or he thought we stole a basketball at the first time we played him. And secondly, Leyden said he was going to LaSalle. So those words came back to bite me in the butt a little bit. As for why I didn't go to LaSalle, it was really a very simple answer. There was a little curly-haired girl in Coventry that I kind of liked. Don't get me wrong. Coventry was always where I was going to go. It's where I was meant to be. But to this day, I still tease Mary what would happen if I had have gone to LaSalle. But I know I made the right decision. I talked a little bit about the coaches that I had, Coach Sienkiewicz, Coach O'Donnell, Ted Ciesler. The 2 biggest coaches of my life were my parents. They taught and instilled in me a winning spirit, a winning attitude, but not a win at all cost attitude. And I always remember something my father taught me that I believe I've tried to teach my children. It was after a loss, and I don't know football, baseball, basketball, but my dad asked me, "What did you learn today?" I said, "Learn? We just got beat." He stopped, and he said, "Think about this. You never stay the same. You continue to improve, or you fall behind." And that's a lesson that I've, as I said, shared with my children, and I take with me to the grave, something I hopefully do every single day. So in conclusion, I'd like to thank the committee for allowing me to be nominated into this group. And I have to share one last story. Dave Gamble was a classmate, actually a couple years older than I. We're at the Thanksgiving football game this past year. And we're talking and reminiscing and so forth. And All of a sudden he says, these guys aren't that good. They're not that big. We're looking at the football team. And he said, I'd love the opportunity to just go back in time, one time, and play these guys. Match up our skills when we were their age against their skills today. And you know what? I think we do okay. Thank you very much for this opportunity. This has been wonderful. Thank you so much. Hold on.